I just re-exported the extended version of my 5 vibes animation. Originally, it was 338 frames, which is 26 times 13, and now it's 403 frames, which is 31 times 13. Something that I noticed is that the file size is 114.9 megabytes, which is significantly smaller than 650.3 megabytes. Looking at the Photoshop document that was exported from Procreate. And I was wondering about this, why that is, and I'm not entirely sure. I haven't opened the new version in Photoshop yet, and I'm wondering if I do, if the file size will increase. If it does, I want to make sure that I have the original so I can compare them. So I'm going to copy this and then open this file. Just as an experiment, I moved one of the layers and then moved it back and then saved the file. And the file size increased 14 megabytes, and I'm not entirely sure why. I do remember that I changed the color mode from CMYK to RGB, which is strange because RGB has 3 channels of color, and I believe this means 8 bits per channel. And CMYK has 4, and it also says 8 bpc. So I'm not sure why this file is larger. As an experiment, I'm going to change the image mode from CMYK to RGB. And I actually can't because my scratch disks are full. I just cleared my trash and deleted some old files as well, and cleared up about 10 gigabytes. So let's see if that improved anything or changed anything. Still saving. And now it's 731 megabytes. So converting from CMYK to RGB somehow increased the file size by, I want to say 5 times. That's strange. I believe the original reason that I changed the color mode from CMYK to RGB was because I was running into some problems exporting from Photoshop, but I'm changing the strategy and no longer exporting directly from Photoshop, so I'm going to see if I don't need to do that anymore. Now I'm going to run the script that reads the Photoshop document and outputs each layer as a PNG file. First, I'm going to deactivate the rest of the other scripts. I just ran the script and there was an exception thrown, an error. It says, cannot write mode CMYK as PNG. I looked this up, and apparently the PNG file type doesn't support CMYK mode. I'm going to see if I can change the build script. Let's try that again. Okay, that didn't work. Let's see if we can fix that. And I guess it would help to look at the actual line that the error was on. So that seems to be doing okay now. The script is still in progress, but I'm looking at the file sizes in the meantime. The ones that I'm recently exporting are significantly smaller than the previous version. The last time I exported it, you can see that these files are in the hundreds of kilobytes range, but the recent version is in the tens of kilobytes range, which is significantly smaller, which I appreciate. Are we close? Still coming out with them. But something I notice is that these files, the originals, have transparency, and the recent ones don't. Oh, I guess they do. No? Still looking at the old ones. Yeah, they don't. The script is still in progress, but in the meantime I'm looking at the file sizes, and you can see that they're significantly smaller in the new version. That was originally 700 kilobytes and this is now 57. But something that I also notice is that the originals have transparency, whereas the recently exported versions do not. And also there's some interesting coloring going on here. You can see with this hat, it's not quite the original color. It's not true to the original tone. So that's something that I would have to adjust. The script just finished executing, and the entire folder is 23 megabytes, which is 10 times smaller than the original, which is significant savings. The colors are off, but theoretically I could just map those to what they were supposed to be. And let's look at how long that took. So the latest version, or the latest file is 1051, and the earliest file, 1045. So the entire script took 6 minutes to run. Now for the sake of comparison, I'm just going to rename this to 5 Vibes RGB. This is the one that I changed the color mode in. Move that into the input folder. Now I'm going to update the reference to the input file. This should probably be an environment variable, but that's kind of beyond the scope of what I'm doing right now. And I'm also going to change the name of the output folder so we can compare them. Now let's see how long this takes. And while that script is in progress, let's look at the output. So the file size is smaller than the original, which is interesting because they should be the same layer. I wonder if transparency comes with any size costs. I'm not necessarily interested in the script actually completing, but I am interested to see if the time between a certain number of files changes. So 1058 for frame 0, 11 to frame 50. So that's 2 minutes. Let's see if we can notice anything. So 0 to 50, 45, same minute. So it is taking a bit longer for the larger files. Going to cancel this one. That was mostly for experimentation. I just canceled the run. I'm not really interested in the output. I'm just going to delete that. I just looked it up, and apparently RGBA is a supported image mode with the library that I'm using, so I'm going to see if I can change that. So I have a hunch that I'm going to continuously want to experiment with this input file name, so I just extracted it into its own environment variable. I'm going to change that back to the original, or the latest original, to see if RGBA works with that. That script is still in progress. I'm going to see if RGBA is doing anything. No, it's not. So I'm just going to cancel that. So now I'm in Premiere Pro, and I'm just compiling all of the screen recordings into an actual video.